15 hours ahead. We are going live today for the sprint shootout. And I must say, I know many of us have already had the discussion that maybe we are not in full support of the sprint format already. And the new sprint format, if you're not familiar with it, it no longer has any attachment or has any bearing on the Sunday grid. That is over with. If you missed us for live qualifying yesterday on Friday, then you have missed that, and the grid has been set for Sunday. And today we are working on the sprint actually grid starting. Okay, so the sprint shootout is going to determine only in today's. Teams and drivers will be awarded points. And of course, many of our concerns are the double dipping situation. Good morning, Mary Beanie. Good morning, Galacticus. So we are concerned. Good morning, Metro Crispy. What's going on? So yeah, we are concerned if indeed about the double dipping of points. Good morning, DG Big Blue. The situation as far as it goes with the teams. No, the association not reformatting the sprint to really make sense. And right now, all we have are the top teams consistently double dipping in points. And in a sprint weekend, they definitely should aim to do more than that. Several of you have shared your opinions that make a lot of sense. Not only just reverse the grid, but reserve drivers only, which I think Baraka brought up a good point as far as some teams maybe not having the lot of reserve drivers to bring up to facilitate that type of change in the rules. The other suggestion that I've also had is that the lower teams or lower drivers in point standing be the ones competing in the sprint race to collect points for themselves, and maybe something else awarded to the teams. So that, you know, because some of your lower points drivers or drivers that don't have any points also come from top teams. So the whole point is to try to get people the points that don't usually have an opportunity to get points. So therefore, they're more competitive about this small window that they can collect points in and still not award double dipping top teams. So there are some things that they need to look into. All right. Good morning, Pooja Head. What's happening? So these are the things that we are concerned about. These are the things that we want to know. Yes, trust me, we're going to have the live timing board same way as we do qualifying. And speaking of a live timing board, let's just go ahead and take a look at yesterday's closing qualifying times. Nothing really changed much in the final closing minutes of Q3. And that is one of my other concerns when it comes to the sprint format today. How much will really change? Once these drivers pretty much got in these positions, they stayed in those positions. So is this what we're going to see? And if so, that's even a further indictment that something has to change with the regulations or with the guidelines, with the rules of the sprint format. A lot of people have voiced their opinions that they are not even excited about sprint weekend. They're not even excited when they watch a sprint race. We literally heard a reporter or a journalist ask Lewis Hamilton, is this going to be, pretty much was not word for word, but is there going to be some managing, here going into the sprint? And they're asking these questions because even they know themselves that teams are not, especially the top teams, they're not absolutely doing their best. They're not really concerned about it. They know where they sit amongst the rest of the grid and the lower running or midfield teams. We don't necessarily have to go out here and push to damage a car. We'll go out here and collect these points as it is. And I think that's the same vibe across the top teams. And when you have that, it's kind of like, hey, it's not a good thing to watch. Right? We want to watch competitive sports. We want to watch drivers truly compete. And that's what we're looking for. And also, don't forget, I also told you all that it is possible that we may be looking at inclement weather and rain. And what happened? Shortly after qualifying, there was a downpour. I gave you that report several times as we were watching the timing board, and I kept seeing the humidity take a tick up from 40 to 41, 44, 45. And I said it's possible that we're going to get rain. It's possible that this is going to be something different. And this is where a lot of us find enjoyment or a little bit more excitement in a sprint weekend, because teams don't get the amount of practice that they would get in other standard formats or authentic in the standard format. Mary Beanie says sprints are boring. They should reverse grid. Go Sir Lewis Hamilton. And in response to that, Mary Beanie, because other people feel the same way. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, let's poll that, because sometime when you get a super chat that's worth polling, that's a super chat worth polling. I want to ask how many of you think they should reverse grid. So here we go. Because that's an interesting question. All right. Do you think that they should reverse grid on sprint weekend? And just for the sprint, not for the standard GP, just for the sprint. But yeah, a lot of us have called it the money grab too, right? They're finding a way to money grab. But Charles Leclerc said he actually looks forward to the sprint weekend. He feels like every day he has something to look forward to. He has qualifying on Friday. That's a competitive situation. He has the sprint shootout and sprint on Saturday that he says is a competitive situation. And probably for Charles it is, because he's not doing so great along with Ferrari this season. But that goes more to the support of what I feel lower teams or drivers not really collecting points. That's why he feels that way. And in comparison to what he did last season to this season, he probably feels like he's in a slump. He's not getting those points. So he wants to try to collect as many as he could. And then he feels excited about Sunday being the Grand Prix. Well, there you go with that. So 89% of you so far on that chat, on that poll, said, yes, they should reverse grid. Now, what I will say is I like the idea of a reverse grid, although as it goes for safety, it doesn't lean well for that, because there are certain walls and barriers that they have set up to where when cars come off track and maybe have a glancing blow on the wall, they go past those openings where teams or cranes can come into the track and get a car off, and it protects those marshals that are on track. So that's one of the things you do have to be worried about when it comes to that. I don't know why Helmut Marko, he knows damn well the camera's there. He sees the reporters there talking. What the hell is Helmut doing? Like, what is he doing? Come on, man. You two, a lot of you throw shade on Helmut Marko for the right damn reason. OG Zilla says, good morning, fam. Time for honey buns and coffee. I don't have the coffee. I started not to get a honey bun, but then I said, let me go ahead and get one just in case. This is pretty much a qualifying event. Let me get one just in case I actually feel like I want a honey bun. So I went ahead and grabbed one. Let's also see, what do some of you think about McLaren's possibilities? They did bring a nice updated package for their car. Some changes there in the side pod, going in route of Aston and Alpine, originators being Ferrari, of that downwash gully into the top area of the side pod. I think pretty much we can attribute all of that to Ferrari, right? All of that to Ferrari. Alpine took it, made their revision. Aston took it and made their kind of revision and tweak, pretty much kind of like the Alpine. And then Mercedes makes an update. It's pretty much going in that direction, not quite as aggressive on that downwash section. And now McLaren comes and pretty much goes in the same field, same garage as Aston Martin, but it is different. It is different, but it's still the same concept, that deep downwash area of that side pod. So I think this also can be regarded as further information or further evidence that this right now, at least right now, and maybe even next season, is the direction for teams to go in as far as their concept and their development and their philosophies for this era of cars. Although a team that has not or is not in this direction as of yet is Red Bull, and their car is running just fine. Now, there is some question that some have. Is Red Bull, is their design getting caught up from the other teams with this concept, or has Red Bull pretty much stopped developing and now these teams are catching up? We soon will find out. I'm not inclined to debate or try to reject either of those premises. I think that either one of those could be plausible. I think that people have brought up very good examples or situations in regards to Red Bull and what happened beyond the cost cap. And I gotta say, I just tell you people all the time, it's always going to be there. It's always going to happen. So you just have to be ready for it. I don't know why people think it wouldn't be, you know. So this is a situation. So now we're going to get into this. I'm going to watch the sprint later, but I'm not going to do it live. I am thinking about doing something pretty cool during the F1 minute. I'm thinking about doing something pretty cool during F1 minute or the race highlight live show tomorrow. I'm considering that. I may come on later and talk about it if I do decide to commit to it. So let me see what 80% say yes. So 80% of you said yes. Let me go ahead and get ready to see if our timing boards are going to be up. And it looks like they are. So I'm going to get ready to bring those in. And let me show you so you're not feeling that. And I think we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and bring in the speed trap leaders. We're only concerned about the top three. There were three. We're going to go with that. And as you see right here, we have 12 minutes on this clock. Now, remember, time will wind down as we go forward. I believe it goes to 12, 10, and then 8, losing 2 minutes every time we get into a different section of the sprint shootout, if that's still the same way they're going to go about it altogether. Let me see. I think we're going to be here for, you know, just shy of an hour to decide the arrangement for the actual sprint race. So we'll see how this turns out. We'll see what these drivers end up doing. Nothing really changed yet just here. So you still do have your drop-off area where certain drivers are not going to make it into every section of the sprint shootout. Yesterday, as you see right here, we had DeVries, Magnussen, Sargent, Zhou, and Tsunoda not make it out of Q1. Then we had Perez, Bottas, Pia, Ocon, and Russell not make it out of Q2. And then your final Q3 set drivers making it into Q3 and deciding their setting order for Sunday's race. I think now we want to see are some of these same drivers that struggled yesterday going to struggle today? I think that's a valid question. I think that's valid something to say or even to see. I am up this morning. I got up at 4 a.m. to start getting ready for you all. It is now about 3 minutes from 06. So, yes, I am about that life. I am about this life. I am about being here with you and experiencing this entire season together. And we will be back even during the off season for Formula One. We're still going to be here. And Wolfpack is going to have a race, an awesome race coming this year after the Formula One season is up. We're going to have a esports race competition here at Wolfpack in the Wolfpack F1 Grudge race. The winner will be awarded all of what you see right there, plus some. We're talking about close to $1,500 worth of goodies. Also, drivers, competitors that compete are eligible to win things along the way, even if they don't win the grand prize. We have things in place from the fam, donated from the fam, that will facilitate giving people a bit of a winning notion going throughout the competition before the end. But do keep in mind that you have to be a member of the channel for 6 months or more in order to be eligible. A package of this magnitude, $1,500+, I want to make sure that it goes to somebody who is a regular, somebody that supports the content consistently, and people that give into the platform should be those that are giving back too. So just keep that in mind. No shade. It just is what it is. Got to take care of those who take care of me, because that is the type of mentality that I have. As you see right there, we have drivers gearing up. We have RPMs kicking up. We have engines revving. We have in-pit signs. So we are about to be on our way for this sprint shootout to see what it delivers. I know a lot of you are wondering, is this going to be boring as hell? And I cannot blame you for even considering that, given what we have seen thus far in the past with sprints. So let's just see if we can give it a fair shake, and hopefully it delivers something that really resembles something of a competitive, real nature. If it doesn't, it's not like we won't be surprised about that, but at least we tried, and better to try than to not try. That is what I would say. Better to try than to not try. Better to give it an opportunity than to not give it an opportunity, and it actually turned up being something. What if this sprint shootout happens to midway through the race go into an all-out downpour that doesn't necessarily red flag the race, but makes it very challenging and difficult for teams, right? And let's just say it happens and the track conditions suck well into the sprint, and then next thing you know, in the sprint, it kind of dries up. Teams have to change mid-stroke, and we get that whole situation. So there are some things that could take place there that could give us some entertainment right out of the gate. Getting ready to start, nothing really important right now. Just getting kind of it is odd. Albon is on Albon's on inners. Albon's on inners right now. So Albon's on inners. Logan Sargent is on a prototype tire, possibly, or it's in question what he's running. And majority of the drivers you see right now populating are on softs. Pia is on inners. I'm looking at the track, and I'm not certainly sure inners is the right way to go. We got a medium. K-Mag's running on mediums. I'm not really sure I'm understanding it. Now, they're taking a gamble here. When you see teams like this coming out, and maybe they feel like, you know what, this is another portion of the situation that we're talking about with the sprint, right? Because these teams feel like we're likely not going to get any points anyway. Albon, quite possibly, but not maybe likely given the situation. Let's just go ahead and take a gamble. This way, if it starts to rain, we know the other teams are going to come out on slicks. I mean, look at the track. But if rain's coming in and we feel like it's going to come in during the sprint shootout, let's already be prepared, be on inners. That way we don't have to come in, and then see how much of a gap we can get in a shortened time span and see if then we can hold that. Right now, your humidity is 82%. 82%. Now, remember yesterday when I told you it ticked up to 45, we could likely see rain. It's right now currently 83%. It just took another tick up right when I was talking. Winds are 3.6 kilometers due east. Track temps 22.3 Celsius. Air temp is 16.7 Celsius. All of those are down in comparison to yesterday's qualifying. So they could be taking a good gamble. OG Zilla, good morning, fam. Time for honey buns and coffee. Big shout out to you. Russell will see rain regardless of what happens, so I won't be surprised if Russell goes into the pits early and goes on wet and has his time there. Nothing really changing on that board. Also, we went into some updates, because we can do that right now. I have the video, but we went into some updates. DRS is disabled in zone 3, by the way. Williams bringing a little bit of updates. Will I Am Formula Academy, 3 races per weekend. Q1 determines R1. Top 8 finishers in the Q1. Reverse the grid for R2. 9 through 15 keep their position. Q2 determines, oh my goodness, R3 grid. Hey, Will I Am, well, you woke up this morning intellectually involved in Formula One, brother. That is some layout right there. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at the way you say, that's some layup out. Hey, man, lay up on that, bro. You all, hey, big shout out to Will I Am coming in hot. Baraka, Chaos Druid, Galacticus, they got into a very nice battle during the kickback quality trivia games. I gotta say, the chaos droid came out of nowhere and just like stole the entire. It was crazy. It was a nice competitive situation. Carlos Sainz right now being wheeled back into the garage. He is on soft compound tires. You can see that right there on the board. The other drivers on intermediates, not on intermediates, as you see right there. That has changed. They are on slicks. So evidently it says, hey, maybe they say go out, scrub up the intermediates, bring them back, we'll take you off. Whatever the case was, they're now on intermediates. Right now, what you have are McDonald colors out there, that red and that yellow, and 3 drivers on mediums, and the remainder of the drivers on the grid are on the track on soft compound tires. Also, nothing new, nothing surprising. Max Verstappen, a 110.2. We already know that is not his best time on the circuit in regards to yesterday. Hamilton dropping 2 seconds off of that, a 1.8. De Vries coming in while he will enjoy just a smidge bit of life at the top. It will not last long. We are going to be looking in these conditions to at least see times a 1.5, we saw 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. They're on slicks. Track temps kind of matter, trying to get the tires into the operational temperature window. The track's cooler, so that might be a little bit difficult. Also, keep in mind Red Bull, the way their setup is, and even other teams set up at this point in time, it's a little bit more difficult with their setup to get heat into the tires. It takes a little bit longer. So those are other things that we're also going to be looking into. So while that's happening, Sonoda goes ahead and goes up to the top of the charts. But AlphaTauri, speaking of Sonoda, AlphaTauri definitely bringing upgrades. Russell went to the top. And the other teams bringing updates right now. I'll say updates. Ferrari bringing some updates, trying to go ahead and get some things done on that conditioning of airflow right as soon as that car meets it with that front wing end plate. Quite a bit of little changes there, and we could take a look at those. Haas making some changes, not really anything, all that fancy of PTOT, just trying to probably hone in their collection of data to try to help them out. One big block over the McLaren because there was a lot going on. McLaren get the updates of galore award, making quite a bit of changes to their car. It looks like it could be something, but we're going to wait and see if it actually is something. And let's just go ahead and take a look at some of these lap times as you see right now. We have Logan Sargent at the top of Sector 1 in the speed trap at 323 kilometers an hour. Not shortly, just right on top of being, it's probably decimals, 323, matching the Red Bull speeds in that Sector 1 is the Williams. And you know what? That's not something uncommon that we've seen this season, and maybe even a little bit last season, that Williams have a car that can produce straight line speed or speed on the track in different areas. Just overall, the car is not faster in certain areas where other stronger cars are, but they're getting there. I hope that Albon sticks with Williams if they're consistently progressing and returning back to a winning form team. It would be good to see him, and not only in a positive environment, but in a team that had to start again from the mud and work their way back to the top. And for him to be part of that and maybe even lead that team to those wins would be monumental for his career. As he even exits out of Formula One, it will be something that will be talked about. Right there, we got Norris to the top, talking about McLaren updates, maybe being upgrades. Norris bringing it up, P in fourth, trying to jock for position right now for today's later event in the actual sprint race, collecting a bit more points if they can. We're going to see right now we have 4 minutes left in Shootout 1. All right, 4 minutes left in Shootout 1. Right now, drivers in jeopardy of not making it in to Shootout 2 are Gasly, Bottas, Zhou, Sargent, and Sainz. Once again, Sargent happening to be at the bottom. Now, I'm going to say this. I know Baraka said we got to give these rookies an opportunity, but I do think this. There is such a thing as rookies underperforming in regards to the other rookies. Logan Sargent is underperforming in comparison to Pia. I know Pia's in the McLaren. I understand that, but with Albon doing what he did before and after the updates, is there still not something to be said about Logan Sargent not being able to improve overall? And just when I say that, Logan Sargent goes to third. Way to tell me to shut the hell up, Logan Sargent. I appreciate that from one American to another, but what I do know is you likely will not remain there. So I will take my shut the hell up are my coffee of Shut the Hell Up, and I will take a sip of that coffee, and I will wait till later before I rebuttal that, good sir. But congratulations for getting out of that drop-off zone as we tick down, getting closer to the 2-minute mark. Ferrari, Sainz, I'm looking for them to do something. Also, right now, I believe that these teams honestly are thinking like, yo, we're going to have to take some data from this today. What's up, Sylvia, Wick, Kelly? What's going on, box office ham, Spider R35? Also, don't forget, we got a new VIP member that we're going to announce this Sunday live on the show. During the race event, we're going to announce the new VIP member. Our last week's VIP member, they got inducted into the VIP fam, was Blue Diva. Shipped that one off. Now we got a new VIP member that's going to be awarded. VIP members everywhere. Plus, you know, you get your gold official Wolfpack gold coin when you get your VIP box. Nice little coin right there in a protective sheet. And that's going to be fun. Let's go, Sarge. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna let my brother have that. I'm going to let my brother celebrate. He needs to celebrate. He's been supporting Logan Sargent, not Captain America, not for the beginning. We have a rookie battle going on. My rookie is Pia, his is Logan Sargent. And I think Will deserves to be able to celebrate that. As you see right there, turn 9 incident involving cars 81 Pia and 16 Leclerc. Definitely don't need any of that. It's just impeding, but we don't need any cars coming together for that. Pia right now, almost reaching the drop-off zone right now. He's just out of it. But if we were in sprint shootout 2, he'd be in it. So the thing is to try to stay out of these areas as much and on average as you can. You don't want to be in those areas, or you don't have any more potential or opportunity to progress your position. Pia is getting a lot closer there. Other cars on their outlap. On their hot laps anyway. DeVries is another rookie, a driver that we're going to pay attention to today in this event. Can he try to put himself in position to get points? Because he has none. Also, Logan Sargent has none. Out of the 3 rookies, Pia has some. So, yes, and I know Baraka's probably going to watch. He's going to say, Jay, I told you Pia's in the McLaren, and by right, he should always be in front of the Williams. Yes, Baraka, I know, brother, you are correct, but it is what it is, and I'm going to brag when I can brag, bro. So believe that. So looking at that Ferrari and that McLaren, definitely looking a bit better. I wonder if Charles is feeling better about his situation. We shall also see that. Nothing really changing right there. Alonso is at the top, and that is another driver pairing that we can talk about as far as Alonso and Stroll being such a gap in between that driver pairing. We talked about it also in the Wolves Den yesterday. Will brought that up again as he and I share the same perspective on that. Stroll in 9th while Alonso's in 2nd, and it was used in comparison to me saying that maybe things with Checo are not being so much caused by the team's lack of support, which I don't firmly believe that. I believe there is some of that in there, but it was just to be fair and kind of be a little bit impartial as to looking at some other situations on the grid. And I thought Aston Martin was a pretty good comparison, as you see that Stroll is unable to do what Alonso is doing in the AMR 23. And maybe that could be, but it's kind of hard to go with that when we've seen Perez do so well in the RB19, winning races, battling it out and challenging his co-driver, or actually his teammate driver, Max Verstappen. And then kind of all of a sudden things just drop off and go to hell. He again is struggling this weekend, as we already saw, due to the qualifications chart of Q3 yesterday. You see that Perez did not make it out of Q2. So it's going to be interesting to see what he actually does today to try to put himself in a good position to try to gain some more of those points. He's the closest to Max than anybody else, but he's also getting so much further away than a lot of people would have preferred. I actually bought something because I thought I was going to be able to celebrate more of Perez being successful and winning, and I have not been able to wear that because Perez has not done that. Either way that it is being caused, whether it's by the team or his own doing, I have not been able to wear something that I was very excited to wear because Perez is not on podium anymore. Yeah, he's not even race winning anymore. And even Jolyon Palmer was talking about, the track limits, and I agree with him. He said what he said. the rules are the rules, and they're enforcing those rules. And I prefer that they enforce them and enforce them evenly and fairly, as we've seen Max Verstappen several times break track limits and not get penalized for it. So I'm definitely not opposed to that. While they are closed down in these minutes right there, we're going to take a look at some of the updates on these cars. But as we look at this chart right here, we can see that Hamilton is closing out his final sector. Where that time will put him, I don't know. He was asked yesterday, is it going to be a bit of managing? And maybe there is a bit of managing, because we know that they put in better times than that. So it's kind of like, do they care? I think that as a driver, I would care anytime I was out on the track. And right there, Russell in 7th. So he's going to continue on to Shootout 2. Hamilton will go out now. Bottas will go out. Sargent will go out. And there again, Sargent in form pretty much close to yesterday, just 2 spots up from where he finished qualifying yesterday. As we see Hamilton several spots off of where he qualified yesterday in regards to today's shootout. Pia definitely made it into at least the 2, and he does not make it out of 1. Neither does Sargent. So there you go, Will. We are together right there with our rookies. Bottas and Zhou did not make it out of Q1, and again, he does not make it out of Shootout 1. So some similarities there in comparison to qualifying yesterday. And I'm going to tell you right now, what definitely killed Hamilton was exceeding track limits and that track time getting deleted. That turn, I'm telling you right now, that turn 10, turn 9, turn 10 have been a doozy for these drivers. You know what I'm saying? It definitely has impacted their ability to stay on track and not get their lap times deleted. And the Williams, the Mercedes, even Red Bull, McLaren, I mean, they are that turn. Either that turn has some type of trickery going on, or it's just visually how it looks for the drivers. Because you got to remember, if you've ever looked at the way the view looks on the cockpit when they're sitting in the driving seat, you can't necessarily see the line within so much distance of the car. So it's a rough thing to fill the curb and then trying to kind of fill it out to see if you're keeping the other 2 tires on the right or left side just where they need to be, or you're all the way off in some areas. And these drivers are showing on across the grid that they're having a challenging time doing that. So that's just the nature of it. Is they have to do better with the track they're on. They have to decide how hard they're going to push in certain areas to try to salvage a lap if they have one. And sometimes salvaging a lap is going to lose you time, and then you're not going to be there anyway. So I can understand, as a driver and a competitor, you're like, I'm just going to push it and hope that the tires land where they should. And it didn't work that way. So we're going to get ready. They are now gearing up. We're going to be going into Shootout 2. As you see right there, the time is still zeroed out. They have not reset the clock yet. We are down a couple of ticks on humidity 80% instead of that 82 that we kind of started in. Actually, we started at 81. It ticked up to 82. We lost 2 of those ticks, so we're down to 80%. Winds 2.9 kilometers due north. Track temps 23.2. Air temp 17.1. Nothing majorly changed right there at all. Maybe a couple of decimal points here and there, but not enough that where they're going to get more performance out of this car, especially with that going on. As you see right there, Shootout 2, the board is reset. The new drop-off zone has been allocated, and we're going to see what these drivers will do. Who's going to be the next to go? If Leclerc performs like he performed in Shootout 1, he won't make it to Shootout 3. So that's just a real thing. And as we're looking right here, we can see some of those bits that Ferrari have incorporated. That second lower arrow is not so much pointing at that joint. It's pointing at that rear section, lower section, corner section of the front wing end plate, how that serration extends a bit further back. Lewis Hamilton getting ready to go so he can get, weighed in. He's done for the day. And remember, the shootout has no bearing on the grid order for Sunday. It only has bearing on grid order for the sprint shootout. And I would be pretty confident to say that Hamilton can make up several positions, maybe even get into the top 8 for points tomorrow. But is it really something they care about? I don't know. You know, I think right now they're really focused on trying to hone in the car, as other teams are as well. And here again, we have a situation that we were talking about in regards to the sprint not being taken for full value, not only by teams and drivers, but by us as spectators. So just again, another clue right there. So we'll see what happens. I do wonder this. I wonder how you all feel about it, because rules are rules, and they clearly state you have to keep the tires on there. Let me ask you, do you think... Hey, let's go ahead. On track limits. So let me ask you what you think about that. All right, there you go. Poll in the chat. Don't dance on it, just vote on it. Do you think they're being a bit overbearing on track limits? I think maybe it's possible. I think red flags are going, oh, look at that assaulter, that jackass guy right there. Max Verstappen's father was definitely not a great person. I can tell you that. Definitely not. And definitely living his life through his son, which I think is something to be talked about maybe in the future up on Max's exit out of Formula One. I think a lot of that will happen. And yeah, we also heard Perez mention that he was a bit unhappy with his being impeded upon during his qualifying lap. Not that that would completely resolve everything else that's been happening with Perez, and we saw a lot in the last race that there was a lot of impeding. Carlos Sainz was another driver that I think got penalized for impeding on somebody on Albon's lap, actually, a couple of times. So, and then he had a real egregious one that just had to go. It couldn't go unnoticed. It had to be called out. I know some of us wondering what's up with Russell. Is he unable to get acclimated and comfortable with the new updated W14? Right now, I think it'd be another good success for Albon to make it into the Shootout 3 and then go into the Shootout, make top 8 and collect more points. I think that would be good. I would like to see that. Verstappen's at the top, and you see Perez right now with only 8 minutes allocated to this right here, already in danger of not making it into Shootout 3. Could this happen? And if it does happen, he will be repeating exactly what he repeated as far as his ending performance yesterday. But he hops up there to 7. So at this point in time, not right there. De Vries and Yuki doing a bit of something, trying to change their stories into the sprint. As you see right here, De Vries and Yuki not having very much success yesterday in regards to making it deeper into the qualifying sessions. Maybe today they can make it deeper into the shootout sessions. We'll see what happens with that. We know De Vries' performance this season has been lackluster. K-Mag and Hulk, that is something also to pay attention to. Haas, which will be Alfa Romeo Haas. Next season, Alfa Romeo will be joining Haas. The Sauber chassis will be running just Sauber, I'm pretty sure, until Audi comes in and takes that over, as they already are slotted to do so. And Haas may be going to get in position to hopefully at least start in a good position later on today for the sprint. Now, whether they finish there or not, I'm not fully confident in that, but at least start in a good position and see how long they can claw before they actually slide and make it down to the floor would be interesting to see. Albon can't keep doing things like that and think he's going to make it in the Shootout 3. Today must be different for some of these drivers, I'll tell you that. The Ferrari boys up there trying to do something. They also not only repeated what they did in FP1, then went and did it again in qualifying. So it would be interesting to see if they do it again in the shootout qualifying. So let's see if the Ferrari boys again populate the top 3 positions or fill the top 3 positions in a third event, a qualifying event pretty much. Not qualifying, because FP1 doesn't do that, but you get what I'm saying. Like another event, FP1, they won the top 3, qualifying in the top 3. Will they land top 3 in the shootout? Let's just say that. Right now, if they're going to do that, running tandem in that area, they won't be doing anything. And Russell, if he's going to run in that area, he's not going to make it far either. He's going to be up out of here, which won't be too much different than what he did yesterday. So he'll really be going out in the same portion in sector 2 of the sprint shootout as he went out in Q2 yesterday. So this is another thing that I was talking about. Maybe likely we see the same situation, same thing, nothing changes, and this will make the sprint boring because I think some of these teams are going to lay back and lay it down. Let's see what you said on the poll. Do you think they're being, and you said yes, 74% of you said yes, 29% of you now say no, 71% are left to still saying yes. And I will say this. I think rules are rules. Like I said, I would prefer them enforce it evenly and equally, not biasly like we've seen them do. We have seen, like I said, Max Verstappen clearly not keep the tires on track, and clearly they did not delete his lap time before. I think this season's a bit different, so hopefully they just keep that fair. Russell's car is getting some work done on it. This is not a good situation, as if that is going to be the case, he will not. He will do a repeat. Nope, he's getting ready to go out. So yeah, I think Russell is in pit. Right now. Russell's in pit. He is not out yet, and then he may be out. He may be out here soon. They only have 4 minutes. They only have 4 minutes to get whatever they're having a problem with fixed, and Russell will be out of there. He won't be able to continue on. Right now they're working on it. I thought they might be ready to get him rolled out. They did take the soft compound tires off. I'm trying to see what they might have put on. I didn't really get a glimpse of that. I didn't see if they put another set of softs on. I also don't know what their availability are on compounds today because I didn't take a look at that chart. I probably should have, but I will later on to kind of see what's going to go on for the race, see what type of strategy might be landed. I'll also post that from Pirelli, the suggested tire strategy later on, so you all can take a look at that if you haven't already seen it. Also, like I was saying, let's look at these right here. I think these are some changes going on with Ferrari. Ferrari wheeling their drivers in. Right now, Ferrari are separated. Their drivers are separated by several positions, 7 positions right now. Leclerc slides into the do not continue, do not pass go, do not collect 200, go straight to jail situation, where he might not make it into shootout 3, but we'll see. They got plenty of time, 3 minutes left. You know, typically drivers and teams call their cars in, make some change, try to go back out and do their thing. So it's nothing surprising there. But to take a look at the before images here, and then some of the other changes McLaren are making, Ferrari are making. Ferrari trying to get back on their grind. No time set. Russell, no time set. Time remaining, almost less than 2 minutes is approaching, and they are trying to cover up whatever it is they are doing in the garage on Russell's car. I do not see a nose going back on just yet, and they're going to have less than 2 minutes coming up really soon. So I don't think Russell's coming back. Russell, I think, is done. I think my feed is probably a bit behind, and Russell's out already. I don't think he's not making it back. He's done. So Sadis is out of there. Maxi Pad impeded Lewis Merck need to get on that. Yep, I agree. I agree, Mary. I do agree on that. And that's something that Maxi Pad has always done, right? And he did it so egregiously in Abu Dhabi, and, they didn't. It's just, we could talk a lot about a lot of things people crack me up about, but we're just going to leave that conversation there. Maybe we talk about it on F1 Minute Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, it looks like Ocon has his DRS cracked, trying to see what kind of time he's going to lay back. And as we see Ocon at the top of the board, I like that. Ocon, also kind of a different character. He's a nasty, nice type dude. He's picks, what we call picks a lot. He'll pick at you and laugh it off like he's doing nothing. So Ocon is that type of person. But I will say his performance in comparison to even his teammate this season, Gasly, who had a lot of gas behind him coming into the season, and he ain't lit on fire for nothing. You couldn't put Gasly's performance on fire if you tried right now. You could pour all the gas and lighter fluid on you want, and it's just going to be a dud. There's just not going to be enough atomization there to spark anything off. It's, he's just, I don't know. He's overrated to me. And I think right now I told you all coming into the season that what we were going to see is Gasly would need to perform. And with performing, his ceiling is in view, and depending on how he does in Alpine is going to say a lot about Gasly's potential and his ability and his talent, and even maybe his future contracts with other teams, because I don't think the way Rossi came out in regards to everything that was happening with Alpine and how stern he came out with, like, listen, heads are going to roll, things better change. I don't think they're going to be looking to just stay there with Gasly. I think Alpine, especially now, Michael B. Jordan and those guys going into the investment, Ryan Reynolds with that whole situation, damn near $900 million, damn near $1 billion evaluation. I don't think that team right now, coming from being the best of the rest to nothing else, is going to be trying to sit down and be relaxed. They're going to be they know they have a car that is likely competitive. They're going to be trying to see and look for drivers that can be competitive in that car. They lost Oscar Piastri, which shame on them. That's all their damn fault. Didn't handle the contracts correctly, didn't handle negotiations correctly. There's a lot of things that they didn't handle correctly. I don't have any loss or heartfelt feelings for Alpine. You tried to keep Alonso and he hopped out the window on you, so you got pretty much what you got this season. So that's all on you. You messed it up yourself. You should have secured your future. Alonso wasn't necessarily going to be your future in perspective to where you were currently. Like, Alonso can be a future for a top running team like Aston right now. He's not a succession plan. He's on the back half of his career as well. He just hasn't done as great as Lewis Hamilton has. And right there, the clock is zeroed out. And with the clock being zeroed out, these drivers, Albon, damn it, Albon. Is Albon going to get one more final lap? He looks like maybe he does. Maybe he gets one more final lap, maybe not. We'll see what happens. Let's see. De Vries, Yuki, didn't make it. Russell actually gave somebody a get out of Shootout 2 card by not coming back out on track, setting another time. He actually gave somebody that card. So it probably likely is Hulk. Had he made it and did a better time than Hulk is not going on further, and K-Mag would. But that's not the case. It is what it is. This is racing and shit happens. So with that being the case, Russell doesn't make it. De Vries doesn't make it. It's not surprising. Yuki doesn't make it. It's like, Gasly doesn't make it. We were just talking about Gasly being full of gas. Ocon made it. Look at the gap between those two teammates. And Albon, unfortunately, is not going to make it. So I was looking to see Albon push into the Shootout 3, but it's not going to happen. So we are where we are. We'll see what happens. So I don't know what Pierre's, either he's happy or he's very upset. One or two. I can't really tell with his helmet on. I need to see his facial expression, but he's like pumping. So maybe he's okay with being 12th for the shootout, the sprint. Maybe he's okay being out of the points position starting the race. Gasly has a radio message coming through. There's no caption there, so I can't really tell what he said. But anyway, Albon had a lap time deleted. Track limits, turn 10. That turn 10 is a doozy. I'm trying to tell you, turn 10 doesn't like many of the drivers. It's not being kind to drivers. Not yesterday and not today. Not no day. Not any day, Sam I am. Will I am George Russell be like, oh, sugar. Bro, you are clowning right now. You are, oh, damn. Haas over there wrecking before even coming out of the pits. What the hell? He must have ran over the gun. Probably somebody left the air gun there and he ran it over. Haas coming out of the pits decides to hit hydraulics on it. Damn, man, that didn't look so good. Right there, we're looking at AlphaTauri coming off the track. Track limits there. Dang, that sucks. So Albon having a lap time deleted at 16.75 wasn't even good enough to still be in there, because the lap time set by Hulk is 1.6 pretty much there flat. So he wouldn't have made it in there anyway had he set of. Oh my gosh, impeding. That's Ocon. Ocon looking dirty out there on track right. Oh my gosh, AlphaTauri, cars galore trying to make it through traffic. I'm likely that we're going to see a lot of documents on impeding. We saw quite a bit of documents before in another race when it came to impeding. The clock has not reset yet. We are going to be entering our final shootout section right there, seeing how these 10 drivers position themselves. Let's take a look in that finishing compared to yesterday. See who's pretty much not doing anything better than they did yesterday. So let's take a look at that right now. So as we see, Albon did make it yesterday, but not today. And honestly, he just barely made it at 10. So maybe not such a great improvement today. Definitely not so much different than yesterday, but it is different because he made it and now he didn't. But still, just one spot out of not making it. DG Blue says Max knows that Sir Lewis Hamilton is about to be in his mirrors. We definitely we'll see if that's the case. That's going to be interesting. Definitely going to be interesting. A lot of people reporting that Lewis is happy. He's been staying late at the garage, doing all the work people say he don't, knowing everything he knows about cars that people say he don't, knowing all the feedback that he provides that people say he doesn't, which is damn near shame and shenanigans for people to even, it's almost like, I'm not going to get into that. I could get into something like that and go off, but I'm not going to go off. I'm trying to stay calm this morning. So also, we see a repeat. Ocon does not repeat his performance yesterday. Actually, he and Gasly changed spots. Actually, at the same spot. For Gasly was 12. Ocon was 12 yesterday in qualifying, and now Gasly is 12, not making it into the shootout 3. Gasly actually didn't qualify as high as Ocon is right now, but it is not over. We will see what Ocon does momentarily here as they're going to reset that clock. 8 minutes. We're going to get into shootout 3 and see where Ocon can finish up. If he finishes in that top 3 spot, it puts him in a very good situation, at least in the start of the shootout later today, to go ahead and grab more points. I don't see Ocon falling victim to Hulk or K-Mag in the sprint in the starting section. I don't see him falling victim to that. So even that still puts him at the last spot if he falls to the bottom. I don't see him falling behind Haas, and he still will collect points there. I definitely see Charles making it happen and getting around Ocon. I can see that definitely. Verstappen's going to say where he is. He's going to get out in clean air and be gone. Now, Perez making it into shootout 3, unlike yesterday. Qualifying, didn't make it out of Q2. So let's see what Perez can do in this final closing session of the shootout 3, solidifying where these cars will start for the shootout. Let's see what he actually ends up doing. They got those tire blankets on Carlos Sainz's car, waiting for the absolute last minute to pull those things off. And we'll see what they end up doing. Also, if you didn't see that picture right there of the McLaren, that deep downwash gully, that channel, whatever you want to call it, gully, channel, downwash, whatever, it's deep there now for McLaren. And I'm going to be very interested to see where they finish for the race. And I think McLaren should take the shootout seriously to try to push that car to get as much information as they can. But I can understand if they don't, being that we want to try and salvage for the race day. If anything's going to go crazy. But listen, what happens if race day goes crazy? What happens if you go crazy in the race, you don't finish? Are you now looking back and regretting that you didn't push as hard as you should in the sprint to try to grab some points for this weekend? That's a question. That indeed is a question. So, we'll have to see what happens. We'll see where that goes. D-Spec Garage in the chat. Definition of essence in the chat. The mechanic in the chat. I see you all. Galactica, Sylvia Wick, OG Zilla, Will I Am. I see you all up in there doing your thing, joining me this morning. Popping tall at the top of the morning, which is the bottom of the morning, because 6 is at the bottom of the clock, but it's the top of the day. Top of the day. I pop tall before the top of the day. And I'm considering going on another bike ride today, but I do have to push mow about an acre, close to an acre of a lot. So, and that's my yard. So yeah, I have to cut it. So I'm thinking about, I'm going to chill on the bike ride and, do that today. I already, and then get a little workout in. So we'll see how that goes. Definitely see how that goes. So yeah, I'm going to ask you all something in the chat. I'm going to ask you about Perez, see what you think about this. So, I'm going to give you a couple of more options other than yes or no. So let's see. Drive. Perez, and then let's get a little bit more egregious with these options. Perez or I know this is gonna be like, damn, Wolfpack. All right, so here we go. Poll in the chat. Don't dance on it, just vote on it. What do you think about the Perez situation? Let me know which of those answers you're more likely to pick. Perez looking like he's on rails right now, trying to lay down. No, that's Max Verstappen. That's why he looks like he's on rails. Max Verstappen doing what he does in the RB19. Fortunate to have the fastest car on the grid, like many other drivers have had in their time, and actually do something with it. Ooh, close, but no cookie, and stays on track. And Max Verstappen does it just like that. Up there, keeping the bar high, 1:4.6. People better turn up. I'm telling you, why you wait till the last minute to turn up, I don't know. Get it turned up right away. Keep yourself out of the do not go on zone. Just turn up right away. Goodness gracious. Lando Norris coming in second right there, trying to grab some points. I like it. Let's see what the Ferrari does. And there we go. Alonso going ahead and changing it up. He's raising the bar right there. Stroll, not unfortunately, Stroll, which is something that we're not accustomed to always seeing right there, sticking with Alonso, not far off of him like he usually is. But what will happen in the sprint and what will happen in the race are two different things entirely than what happens in qualifying sessions. Hulk bouncing up. That's what I'm talking about, Hulk. Showing what's up. Leclerc sitting down there at 10. That ain't where you want to be, bro. We're going to see what happens, man. I don't know if Leclerc going to be with Ferrari or Ferrari ain't going to want to be with Leclerc, but something going to shake at Ferrari eventually. I'm going to tell you that right now. Something's going to happen. Something is going to take place. And within the next couple of seasons, something's going to take place at Ferrari. There's some changes coming. I don't know if it's going to be Fred. You know, maybe they gave Fred a bad deal, though. They definitely gave Fred a bad deal. I'm trying to tell you, like, he came into a mess. I understand it's Ferrari and all, but he came into a mess. So see what actually is going to happen there. Only 3 minutes left for these drivers, pretty much 3 minutes left for these drivers to show us, take a, as we say in Texas, take a shit or get off the pot. Simple as that. Do something or not. Simple as that. So they got 3 minutes and 20 seconds going. We're going to see how this pops. Ferrari coming around. Not looking like they got a good lap right there. Not really leaning too hard into track limits. DRS wing is cracked. What does that do for Leclerc? We will see. And right now, Perez sitting in the top 3. There you go, Perez. Show them that you can still do something with all the spike that they throwing in your driving championship punch. You know, they spiked Perez punch. He drunk it and just got all off his shit. So I'm looking for Perez to do something. I need Perez. Listen, I just don't believe Red Bull are supporting Perez like they need to. I just don't. I'm just going to be honest with you. I just don't. I don't at all. Let's see. 37% say Perez is Perez. And that is another thing, right? Perez may just be Perez. Red Bull isn't assisting Perez. 25% say that. It grows to 40%. Perez is Perez. And that would be that would be horrible. That would be horrible that to be the type of person or driver that you just don't deal good with success. And when you get it, you can't keep it. Good number 2, solid, maybe solid number 2. But right now at this point in time, if Perez continues on with this season, as lackluster as his performance is, it's going to even be questionable. Is he a solid number 2? Like maybe he's great at the beginning, but let's have another driver in the wings that, you know, after the first 5 races, Perez is done. He's tapped out. We need another driver that's going to carry us the remainder of the season, the rest of these 15 or 18 races, how many ever races they're going to have, and, you know, help us out because it ain't Perez. Maybe that's what happens. You know, it's not a good look if Perez indeed is the one that is attributing our lack of attribution to his own championship driving campaign, which it was looking very good until it wasn't. So it's got to be something to be said about that. He's got to do better. Facts, just point blank period. Perez has to do better, and he's not. What he's doing right now is shenanigans. So I ain't liking it. I expected better for him, and we ain't getting it. So And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, sitting here watching this sprint shootout, qualifying has been pretty entertaining as of late. This sprint shit is not entertaining. It's lackluster. We don't think the teams and the drivers are fully vested. They need to change up the format of the sprint. I don't know how many times we got to say it till they believe us, but they probably won't do that because they likely don't do good things anyway. But I'm going to watch the sprint race, but I'm telling you, it's just going to be, let me find something that I can eat and get into. I might do something on a computer and eat at the same time just to try to occupy what's really going on right there. It's just, sprint just ain't great. We got 19 more seconds of it and it'll be over, the sprint shootout. Danny Rick smelling the blood in the water. That is interesting. That is interesting. That's an OG Zilla. That's something to turn into a poll. All right, that is something. Or, ooh, let's see. Poll in the chat. Don't vote on it. Don't dance on it. That is a good one. Good job, OG Zilla. That's something to definitely poll. What do you think? Does Danny get which seat? Red Bull Racing out with Perez? AT out with DeVries. What do you think Red Bull's going to do? Now, don't forget, there are some changes going on. AlphaTauri time is ticked out. We about have our final grid for the sprint shootout later on today. We will be live tomorrow, Sunday. I am thinking about doing something. So if I'm going to do it, I will come on later today and announce what I plan on doing and also have a little chop up session, maybe even about the sprint race. So keep that in mind. And we'll go from there. Let's see. 62% are saying out with Perez. They're saying is Danny Rick. Ooh wee. Gonna see what happens there. Gonna see what happens with Danny Rick. Danny Rick. But I'm going to tell you this. This likely will be Danny Rick's last time with a team in a number 1 or 2 seat. If he gets it. Perez climbing up to number 2. That's what I'm talking about. Now that's looking better. That's looking better, Perez. Look at Hulk and P4 for the sprint later today. Look at Lando P3 for the sprint later today. The Ferrari boys and Aston Martin looking like Christmas came early with red and green mixed together, tied in tandem with their teammates 5 and 6 for the Ferrari, 7 and 8 for Aston Martin. Ocon just out of points if this was the case, but I did say I don't think he'll do worse than a Haas right there, not really showing it. So can Hulk hold on to that, and will Ocon improve from that? And who will be left out of the points? Will it be the Haas team altogether, or will it be mixed with Alpine and Haas, which is not a mixture to talk about? So that's what we got. That's where we are. Sprint grid is set. This is your qualifying for the sprint. We can take a look in regards to how it looked with the qualifying session for Sunday. And as you see right there, nothing changing with Max Verstappen. Perez changed his coat going into the sprint race, at least going to be able to get some points to collect there. Lando improved from qualifying from 4th to 3rd. Hamilton did not improve. He goes out of there. Stroll did not improve, or neither did Alonso. Well, Alonso, where's Alonso? Alonso didn't improve. Stroll didn't improve. Alonso pretty much same where he was. He's stagnant. Hulk improved from where he qualified. Albon did not improve. So there you go. Some things different, but some things the same. A little thing changed. Not all that gain, too much to gain. So this is what we got. We'll see what happens and just go from there. So yeah, sprint needs to be changed. It's not entertaining. 54% of you said that likely Danny Rick in and Perez out. It's kind of almost split. I'm thinking that, I mean, they've seen that team comparing already. Danny Rick had his opportunity and he jumped ship and left, went to Renault and jumped ship again, went to McLaren and then got dropped off the ship. So that would be interesting to see. And I just didn't see much from Danny Rick at McLaren nor at Renault as far as me thinking that he's going to go in the Red Bull garage and do better than Perez. I'm just not buying that right now. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying I'm not buying it right now. So with that being said, we will see what actually happens for Danny Rick. We do know that Red Bull, as a team of AlphaTauri and Red Bull, are not afraid to change drivers midstream. We've seen it happen before with Alex Albon and Pierre Gasly. So that would not be something that's uncommon. The mechanic says, yeah, this sprint ain't it, boring and unnecessary. I'm with you, mechanic. I'm with you on that. It is like whoop-de-doo. It is like that. Whoop-de-doo. So it is what it is. But hey, we made it through it. We stuck through it together. We gave it an opportunity. And with the opportunity we gave it, it didn't still do much. So I'm with you on that. I don't want to see more of these added to the calendar next season. I don't want to see more. I didn't even want to see 6 sprint races, but I damn sure don't want to see. I know she's probably so happy to interview Max. She's like PR for Max. I've seen her do some things that were really questionable in regards to Max, but hey, we'll see what happens with that. But things are what they are, even if I do questionable things when it comes to Max, and we've seen that before too. So let's just go from where we are. Let's get ready to have a good sprint race, but more than that, let's get ready for race weekend. Let's get ready for race Sunday, because Hamilton is starting in a better position for Sunday at 5. We know that he's good at jumping it. Max is going to run away with it. We know that that's going to happen. So likely, we're not going to see a change there. Max is going to collect more points. I think another interesting section is, where will Ferrari finish race Sunday? They have 2 and 3. Can they convert those into podiums, and really can they stay there and collect a podium, or will they lose it? Because that's what Ferrari has been accustomed to doing as of late, losing things. All right, losing points, losing podiums, losing races. So we'll see what happens. Stroll and Alonso, see what happens there. So OG Zilla says Perez number 2, but half a second behind. Whew, thank you. That's definitely putting in perspective. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so listen, we out. We'll see what happens. Peace and love. Be safe. All right, see you Sunday live. Don't miss a Sunday or Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. F1 Minute. Come check us out. Come hang out.